Hi everyone, it's just me today, wearing my necklace that I got from Etsy. It's a lady called Lana Boo. It's Lana Boo's shop. It's L-A-N-A-B-O-U, all one word, and then shop, Lana Boo shop, just in case you're wondering. And I'm wearing something that I don't normally wear because it creases like mad when I put it on. But I like it because it had the fringe on it, but I didn't realise how much it creases. So anyway, apart from that, I've just been outside to film a very short video, which you probably may have already seen by now, of my waistcoat that was all patted out, and Sky's going to knock me the camera any minute now. There's a bit of a power struggle going on here. Who sits next to me here? Can you see I've got 3 of them here? And they're all fighting to see who wants to sit next to me. Oh, to be so popular. Well, come on then, Gigi. You know who wants to sit on my knee, don't you? I think the others would as well if they weren't so big. Sit there, Gigi. Mind you, Gigi does desert me when Sue comes. He does sit on Sue's knee, don't you? Yeah. Anyway, the knitted cardigan for my great niece. I'm going to move again. I can't show it you because I'm up to knitting the button bands at the minute. So, you know, it's still all in... It just looks like a bag of rags stuck on a needle at the minute. But I've managed to do it all and I haven't had much problems with it. Although I'm still getting the pins and needles in my hand. But it's nothing to do with the knitting, it's just... I was having a break from crocheting because I thought maybe a different action would free this trapped nerve, but it hasn't. Anyway, what am I doing at the moment? Well, I've just started trying out my new hooks. Jury's out at the minute. So far, that's all I've done. I'm using the ice yarn that I got a couple of weeks ago. I think I showed you the order, didn't I? It's sort of browns that shade. It's not all one colour, although it looks it on there. If I show you this ball, you can see it shades from browns to blacks. What I'm actually doing is I have bought this pattern, so I can't show you much about it, except that the printer's running out of ink. It's called the Harbour Light Circle Jacket, and I got it from Annie's. But if you don't want to buy a pattern, there's a nice similar pattern on the Drops website. I don't know whether you've ever looked at the Drops Yarn Studio web pages, but they have literally hundreds of free patterns for knitting and crochet. And they do have a jacket that's very, very similar to this one. But I just thought I'd try this one out. The pattern that I started using for the circle jacket, the one that I've just shown you before on the other video, I started off with one pattern and drifted off to another pattern, so I can't really tell you which pattern I used. But there is also like a free pattern on this Drops site, as well as one on Ravelry, for one very, very similar. You know, if you are not in a position to buy a pattern. Well, just as Sue was leaving, after we'd turned the video off, of course, well, after the video turned itself off, the postman came. So she did manage to have a quick look at this book. I should say, by the way, I'm not sponsored in any kind of way for anything that I do. I buy everything myself. The only time I've ever had anything free, apart from when people, you know, my friends on here have gifted me things, was I once had some cotton from Abercarn because I was taking part in their knit something a month, was it a crochet something a month anyway, and some ice yarn that I got as a bit of a thank you for using a lot of their yarn, and for also having the yarn that I didn't like the colour of, but that's by the by. But normally I do like ice yarn. Well, I got this the other day. I pre-ordered it many moons ago, so I kind of don't feel too guilty about breaking my ban. And I have really broken my ban because I've ordered a load of vintage crochet patterns from eBay. Well, they were selling them for less than £1 each, so it would be rude of me not to take advantage of them. And you know me and my vintage patterns, how much I love them. Anyway, they haven't come yet, so I'll show you when they do come. This one is by, I don't know how you pronounce it, I think it's Dora Ollerenstein, and it's top-down crochet patterns. I mean, I absolutely love this, but with my limitations, I'm afraid the buttons would have to go down the front. I couldn't even fasten them. Well, I suppose you could fasten them first and then put it on as if it was a sweater. But I absolutely love this book. I haven't had a book in a long time where I can say I like almost every pattern. Usually I'm going, I like that one, but I don't really care for that one. This one's sort of got, which I like, is it shows you 2 versions of almost every pattern. You know, and it's got a very, very good introduction. It says why crochet top down. And I don't want to show you too much of it because it's a paid for book, isn't it, obviously. But it gives you instructions on sort of how to measure yourself. You know, how things do, you know, go. It's telling you what to do, you know, if you're doing top down and it's kind of not worked out right, that you've got a bigger bust, for example, or you need a bit more room underneath your arms. It tells you all what to do, how to adjust all this, how to build up the necklines. And I think, you know, I mean, I crochet, as you know, but I'm going to find it's a very useful book. You know, it's telling you how to try things on as you go along and, you know, how to change things. You know, working the bodywork, working the sleeves. Again, I can't show you them because it's a paid for book. But I will say that the book started off about £15 when I first ordered it. And I finished up saving, I think it was £4.50 because by the time it was delivered, they'd reduced the price of it, which was rather good. And this is another bit, some additional techniques for top down. Again, there's quite a number of pages, which I'm not going to show you, obviously, because it tells you how to block your garment. And that just shows one of them being blocked out. Now, as you probably noticed, I don't have these blocking boards because they were like whatever price. I just got children's very cheap play mats that fit on the floor, you know, for children to crawl on. And I did that. And this is talking about making your garment fit and things that used to confuse me, you know, this negative ease and you know, positive ease, how to measure yourself, how to decide what size you want it to be. And another thing that's one of my favourite things is measuring your favourite sweater. And I think I told you in the last video that's how I actually learned how to crochet, was crocheting to a sweater that fitted me. And then there's another one here, how to read a schematic and how to make the sweaters fit your body. So all in all, I mean, it's a good book before you even start with the patterns. You know, how to adjust the length, how to make things fit you properly. You know, how to shape the bust and things like that. It tells you all sorts, to shape the waist. You know, it's telling you more or less how to do lots of things. Then you get to part 2. I mean, all this is like how-tos at the beginning. This is part 2. This is the actual patterns. Now, what I like about this is every pattern that they do has got 2 versions. See, that's Ava and Bettina. Now, this one has got the bobbles around the neckline and it's got a long sleeve. This one is like made from the same pattern, but with no bobbles and with a turn back sleeve, which I think would be a very, very useful sweater. That one, I like that one, I really do. The only thing that I would change, only purely because I have problems with my neck, as you know, I would have to make my necks a bit higher up. That's the only thing that I would adjust, you know, on some of these in this book. I love them to bits, but they do have, you know, lower necks. It goes on in great details on how to do them. Gigi's going to walk on my knee. Now this other one is called Isola and Chloe. So one of them is a sweater and the other one is divided down the centre and made into sort of a sleeveless cardigan. or a vest or whatever you want to call it, yeah. So it gives you the instructions on how, it shows you another picture of it there, how to make the pattern, you know, as it is, and how to divide it down the centre. So, you know, those are both very nice. The only thing I have a drawback against this book is they're all yarns I've never heard of, yeah? Probably very beautiful yarns, probably handmade, hand dyed, whatever. But they don't put like a 1, 2, 3, 4 to give you a clue as to the, you know, the thickness of the yarn. So I'm going to have to go on Ravelry or onto the internet before I start, really, to try and give me a clue as to what, you know, yarn I should be aiming for, the right thickness. I know you can do tension squares, but it does help if you know whether you're aiming at worsted or fine or fingering or what you're doing, yeah. And this other one is called Luna and Janelle, or Janelle, and that's like, oops, sorry darling, it's just a plain sweater, or you can turn it into a cardigan. But it looks like plain stitching, so I wouldn't say any of these patterns really so far are out of the range of a more or less beginner. I mean, the only thing I would say about when you're doing anything with a yoke or anything top down, you've got to have stitch markers. It's a given. I mean, I'm fairly experienced at crocheting, but I could never do a top down without using stitch markers, yeah. This one is called Jade and Magda. Jade is the sweater, I think, and Magda is the cardigan. It's got cables down the front of the sweater and down each sleeve. And the cardigan, you divide the cable, there's sort of half a cable on each side. I'd rather do cables in crochet than I would in knitting because you don't have that. I'm just laughing at Jude, he wants to put his head on my arm, which is a bit difficult when I'm trying to show you the book. You don't have to have a special cable needle. Yes, I know, darling, you're snoring, aren't you? And they give you very detailed instructions with charts and everything. So I'm really, really liking this book. And everything seems to have a schematic, you know, like that. She tells you all the measurements, where you should be and what you should be up to. And this one is Rosina and Isabel. You know, one is the short sleeve and one is the long sleeve sweater. I mean, well, it's sleeveless actually. I know it's fairly obvious to somebody like me, but not everybody is good at adaptations, are they? And also it's showing you can make it into a little mini dress. You know, not everybody thinks outside the box. I mean, Sue, as you know, does it a lot more than I do. She really thinks outside the box. You know, it's showing you how you can do it without sleeves, you can do it with sleeves, you can do it longer, you know, things like that. And this one is Genevieve and Zora. It's got a beautiful a lacy panel down the centre of the sweater. I just love that pink sweater. It's got to be in my wardrobe. And the purple one is the same, I think, but with a short sleeve. The purple one looks a little bit strange because I think she's wearing something more patterned underneath it. So it's giving it a bit of a weird look. Oh yes, I know. He's grumbling because he wants to put his head on my arm. There should be a better picture. Oh, this one is Nanette and Erde. It's the one that's on the front cover. You know, the one that's I would button down the front. And then the other bit is the long sleeve as well. There are so many in this book. I mean, normally I'm saying to you, oh, I like this, I don't like that, I like this, don't like that. But I can honestly say I think I would make every one of these, I think. I don't think there's one that I'd turn my nose up at, you know. I think that I would make everything in here, really. So it's one of the books, well, I mean, even, well, not even Sue. Sue said when she had a quick flick of it, she's going to have a proper look when she comes next time. She said, well, it is a good book, that, you know. And I think it is. It's It's How to Crochet Yourself a Stylish New Wardrobe, it says. And I think it's really good, as we'd said before, to think out of the box. It gives you ideas that you don't have to make the pattern as it stands. You can do it with a short sleeve, you can do it sleeveless, you can do it as a cardigan, you can divide it down the centre. Oh, I just touched myself with my own hands and no freezing. It is very cold here today. Beautiful sunny day, but it's cold. Yes. Well, yesterday Sky played with a plastic bottle all day long. She just chomped on a plastic bottle. Kept her busy. But today she's looking for it and her daddy put it in the bin. My son's gone to work today, so he can't do... Yesterday they were at the house, but today he's gone to work. My daughter-in-law, she's doing her work, you know. She looks after her grandchildren, I think I've mentioned that before, so that their parents can go to work. But they were planning, you know, what they want to do with the house. It needs a lot doing to it. So obviously they're not going to be moving in it anytime soon. Although you can move on a lot quicker when there's nobody living in it. You know, they can actually smash the plaster off the wall. And they've decided to have it rewired because an old chappie had lived in this house forever and a day. And, you know, the electric may not be up to code and things. So they're doing all of that while they're not in it, which is easier. Because they need more plugs and things, you know what younger ones are like with the gadgets and the gizmos, you know. In my day there was like one plug for the telly, you know, one plug maybe for the Hoover, and that was about all you ever had in one room. You only ever had about 2 plugs. But nowadays everybody wants to charge up this and charge up that. My son's got things stuck in plugs all over the house, yeah. Charging up things, yeah. I don't know whether I told you or not, my niece phoned me. My elder niece, the one who lives up here. I'd sent her a text message because like it was my brother, her dad's first anniversary on Saturday when he passed away. So my younger niece had come up as well, so they could all be together, you know, on that day. I mean, obviously they were closer to my brother than I was, really. Because there was such an age gap between my brother. 9 years that we never were on the same wavelength, really, you know. He was always like a grown-up to me, from when I can remember. And he was away at university and things like that, so we weren't as close as some brothers and sisters are. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was no arguing, there was no rowing, there was nothing like that. It's just that we didn't have the same interests, you know. He was academic and I kind of wasn't, you know. We were there for each other. I mean, he was marvellous when Mum and Dad died. He did the majority of everything, you know, to do with the legalities and arranging things and things like that. Anyway, to get to the point, my niece has offered to take me out for my breakfast next Saturday. And I'm not going to have the bacon and egg that tasted funny. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't funny as it had gone off. It was just a Greek restaurant and they put spices and herbs and things like that. And I just wanted normal bacon and egg, you know. Oh, here comes Sky. We get rid of one off the chair, then the other one comes. And so I said, well, this time I'm going to have egg on toast or something like that. So I will be looking at the wall stall, even though I'm not supposed to be buying anything, but I will be having a look. The family will probably be out anyway because, you know, with this new house and that. So I'll be able to sneak something in. My son had to go into the little stash room, you know, the one that's just like hell on legs, because I said he could have one of the plastic shelving units that I'd had in there. So they decided to use one, I think I told you before when I showed you the kitchen. So to put all the stuff on, so they put that in there. They'll be having the others when they move to put them in the garage, because they've very luxuriously got 2 garages. Ooh, very posh. The house may be tiny, but they've got 2 garages. And yeah, I think it made me laugh that I've had more comments than I've ever had on anything, and more people watching my kitchen. So my kitchen is more popular than me. Thank you all for commenting anyway. Thank you very much. Yeah, it is a big difference, and I'm still getting used to it. You know, it was a big thing for me to paint. Excuse me. To have my wooden cabinets painted, I was a bit dubious, you know, because I thought it might look a bit homemade and a bit tatty, you know. But they kept saying to me, no, it's going to look great, it's going to look great. So I thought, oh, what the heck, you know. If I don't like it, I'll just get some stripper on it and take the paint off. Because it is real wood, it's not that Formica stuff or anything like that, or chipboard stuff, it's proper wood. This is why I was reluctant to get rid of the kitchen. Anyway, I couldn't have afforded a new kitchen anyway, so why am I kidding myself? So anyway, I'm pleased with the way it's turned out, and I've had new flooring. And it's non-slip, so I won't break my neck anymore. Because I was worried, you know, every time I dropped water, because I used to go for a slide, you know. You've got visions of doing the unwanted splits, you know. One day when you're in the kitchen. I mean, I have fallen a couple of times when I was in there. And actually my daughter-in-law fell before we had the new flooring down. When the old flooring was down, somebody had spilled some water and she fell on it, so she knows just how slippy it was. So I don't know what else to say really. I just wanted to show you the book. So it's I got mine from Amazon. If you've got a local bookstore, you might get it from there. But I pre-ordered mine. Look, my fingers have gone dead. I have poor circulation, you know, I've got this neuropathy. And every now and again I get white fingers. Like dead fingers, you know. I have to keep waving them about to get the... And they said the air circulated. Oh, my head's full of air. My fingers should be full of blood. But because I've got poor circulation, if I get cold, they go deathly white. And like ghoul fingers. They're white up to the knuckles usually. It's one of those things you get when you're diabetic. And I'm a naughty diabetic that doesn't do as she's told. Because I like sweet things. And, you know, I can't wean myself off them. I mean, I don't sit there eating sweet things all the time, but I do like a biscuit now and again. And I do like a chocolate bar now and again. I'm sorry, but I do. I mean, I put 2 chocolate bars in my shopping when my son took me shopping on Saturday. And he's going, these are not things that a diabetic should have in the shopping trolley, but I'm sorry, but, you know, this is what happens. But my fingers are really going dead now. If they get cold, if I get cold, they go dead. And this is what happened. I went outdoors. I was only out about 5 minutes, wasn't I, just doing that little video. I mean, people would ask me what was blocking, or, you know, what I was doing to my waistcoat outdoors wasn't really blocking. It was just sort of dampening it down and flattening it out, because I had a bit of a hump in the middle where the circle started out. I was using a different pattern, and that's why I changed the pattern, because it was going more and more humped. So I swapped horses in midstream and I changed to a different pattern. So I think the lady who crocheted it on that pattern must be a much looser crocheter than I am, because I've always put a chain between my blocks when I've been doing a waistcoat. You know, not on every row, but on some rows I put a chain to stop it, you know, humping up, you know, to get it to lie flat. But that was really humping up, so I'm hoping that the water flattens it down. And this one I'm starting again, it's another circular one. Must be a glutton for punishment. Yes, so that's what I'm doing. I'm really looking forward to starting some of those scuddy hoods when I can find the yarn that I've got. Mate, it's looking as though I might be on my own by Christmas. You know, I don't mind my own company. It does get lonely now and again, but the only time I feel a little bit lonely is if it's dull, dark, dreary. And it's like the weekend and I don't have Gigi. But I like my own company. I know it sounds a bit weird, but I do like my own company. I can immerse myself in what I'm doing, and I'm one of these people who kind of switches off from the world when I'm doing anything. I tune out, you know. My mother used to always shout at me because if I was reading or anything, she'd shout my name and she'd shout my name and she'd shout my name. And then she used to say, when she gets her nose in a book, she just blanks out. And I honestly never used to hear her. My brother was the same. You know, I mean, I need to get myself a radio again. Because I used to love listening to like plays on the radio. I mean, I honestly think that radio and books, if you can get the talking books, they're better than actually watching a film. Because you're using your imagination so much more, aren't you? And I've done that with books. I've read a book and thought, that was a really great book and I've really enjoyed that book. And then a film version comes out. And it's just not how it had been in my head. You know, it wasn't how I imagined it at all, you know. They'll put leading men who are pretty boys, you know, on the films. Whereas in the book, the man might have a scar, he might have a limp, he might have whatever. And, you know, you're picturing them as how they are, warts and all, aren't you, when you're reading the book and that. And then when you see these pretty boys on the films, you know, you're thinking, that's not how he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to look smooth-skinned and pretty. He's supposed to have warts and, you know, have a scar and, you know, just not be nice at all, yeah. So, you know, I mean, let's face it, the Pirates of the Caribbean, if they'd been out at sea all that time, they'd probably have scurvy. And they wouldn't have nice, neat, trim beards or anything like that, would they? They'd just look all woolly and full of salt, you know, from the sea. The skin would be all patchy and ruddy and probably have bits of scurvy stuck all over it. It wouldn't be like Johnny Depp at all. Was it? Yeah, it was Johnny Depp that did Pirates of the Caribbean, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, whatever. Yes, well, I don't know how you're going on in America with your elections. I don't follow it at all. I know nothing about it, so I'm not going to pass an opinion. I mean, all I will say is I don't know how the heck you're going to choose between those two. There must be better people in the world, that's all I'm going to say. Not criticising one or the other. So please don't have a go at me. Because I don't know enough about politics in England, let alone in the US, so I'm not going to say anything. All I can just say is that I find it all rather amusing, all this rah-rah and pomp and I just find it all very funny. And I won't know the difference because I don't know the difference between the Democrats and the whatever they are. I don't know the difference between them. But it's the same in this country. I mean, the lines are sort of blurred without political parties. When I was a kid, the Conservatives stood for one thing and they were like one party. Liberals were another, Labour. And now they've sort of all blurred the lines. You know, they're all, I won't say they're the same because they're not, obviously, but the lines are blurring between them. They're not kind of like black and white, they're more like shades of grey now, you know, in between. And this is why I think I'm not political, because I can't identify with any of them really, you know. Whereas, you know, my parents, they were strongly one thing or another thing, you know. And everybody I knew had strong opinions of which party they belonged to. But now there's more don't knows, I think, in this world that I don't know whether there are in America or whatever, but around here there's more people who sort of don't know, or they change their mind from one election to another. Personally, when it's like a local election, I just vote for the man who I think will do the most for my little area, the one who seems to have the best spiel. Not that they ever come true, of course, because they never do. That's the only thing that gets me about elections, is they promise you the world. I don't care whether it's, they probably do it in America, but they do it in England. Promise you the world. Oh, they're going to do this if they get in. They're going to do that if they get in. And then as soon as they get in, they don't do it, you know. And everything that the party before them did is all wrong. Now, to me, no one party is all wrong and no one party is all right. You know, if the party's coming in, I would think, well, they did have a good idea with that they did. We'll leave that where it is. You know, we'll just do something different, you know. But no, because the other party did it, it's all wrong. And they have their own ideas about what they want to do. And because they don't stay in office that long, it's all kind of mishmash and disjointed here, you know. I don't know whether it's the same. I don't know how long your people stay in office, because I'm just... I just know who the person is. Like, of course, when Barack Obama got elected in. I mean, you're either for him, you're against it. I'm not either, you know, because I don't even know. I don't know what he stands for. I don't know what he intends to do. I don't know what he was going to do. So I'm not being political at all. So I'll probably get some thumbs down on this. For butting in on things I don't even know about, yeah. Keep your mouth shut, John. Just keep on going, you fool. Right, this doggy's going to sleep on me, and I want to finish off that little cardigan for my great niece, and I can give it to my other niece, so she can post it down to her if she wants to before Christmas. I mean, my niece will probably come up again before Christmas anyway. She does come up every month or so. To see her mum, especially since, you know, her dad died. So she'll probably come up before then. So the dogs are all sleeping, so I think it's time for me to check my eyelids for light leaks. Maybe we might do a little bit of that, or maybe I will brew a strong coffee, try to wake myself up and do a little bit more than a tiny little circle. Oops. On this. See, that's all I've done. I decided to use this for a top coat because it's got some wool in it, and it isn't as soft, you know, like to make a sweater. It's not a rough, but it's not as soft, you know, to be next to your skin. So I thought, well, I'll make it into a top jacket, and then it won't aggravate anybody, will it? Yeah. So I haven't heard whether that lady wants me to do that sweater, you know, the one I told you about. It's in very, very, very fine cotton. I sent a message back saying, well, I could do an adaptation, because it isn't actually a pattern. It's one of those where they just show you the stitch, how to do the stitch. They give you a schematic, and it's like, right, off you go. So I said, well, I could have a go at it, but I wouldn't be doing it in that fine of a yarn. And if she wants cotton, does she know it's going to be expensive? So I haven't had a message back yet, so we'll see. You know, I mean, if they don't crochet or they don't knit, they don't realise just how much cotton would cost. Oh, I knew I had something good to tell you. Well, it's good news for me. I came from a cotton family. Everybody worked in the mills, worked in the cotton mills. And over the years, the cotton mills just got closed down. People in India and places like that were making cotton cheaper. Everybody was buying imported cotton. And I watched a programme on the TV the other day, and they've actually reopened a mill again. And it's British cotton. Don't ask me how they're growing British cotton, I don't know. But it's going to be British cotton from start to finish. And it's only one mill at the moment. But I was thinking, people are going back into natural fibres again. Lots and lots of people want natural fibres. So I thought maybe it would be a good industry, you know, because we still have some of the mills, I think, but unfortunately all the machinery was all broken up many years ago. But what was sad was there is a working or museum cotton mill not that far away, and they closed it down because they said not enough people were visiting it. So it would be nice if somebody could go in there, because the machinery's there, and turn it into a working mill again. That would be nice, because they wouldn't have to start from scratch, would they? Although they would probably mechanise everything these days. But so once again, King Cotton, as they used to call it, cotton is the king, is coming back to Lancashire, even if it's only one mill. And that pleases me greatly. That's like a homage to my aunts, my uncles, my grandma, granddad, everybody who worked in the cotton mill. That's probably one reason why they all died young, because they probably all had emphysema on the chest from the cotton dust. Because there was no such thing as big extractor fans, no such thing as wearing a mask. You know, I used to take dinners into my aunt's, you know, and you couldn't see across the room for cotton dust flying in the air. And you think they were in that day in, day out, breathing it in. It's no wonder they had lungs full of all sorts, is it? And of course, it's a great tradition in the north for lip reading, because the machines would be making so much noise that it was no good talking. You know, so they used to have the sign language, like, you know, like pointing to their watch, like, what time is it, you know, or time, you know, or, you know, they go, can't hear you, you know. They had a little language of their own, you know, with a bit of sign language and a bit of lip reading. Everybody who worked in the mill could lip read, because you had to, because the noise of the looms was so noisy. And they used to speak very exaggeratedly, like, you know, what time is it? I remember once a lady came into the shop and she was deaf. And she used to always want me to serve her. And I asked her why one time. And she said, because you look directly at me and you pronounce all your words. And I must have picked that up, you know, from my aunties, because my aunties both went deaf through the noise of the machineries. And they used to speak that way, you know. And she said, I can lip read you, because you always face me when you're talking. People start talking to her apparently and then turn away, and she can't read their lips. So if you know anybody who's a little bit on the deaf side, face them, always face them. Then they stand a chance. It's no good yelling in their ear, you know, you might as well just face them and speak quite clearly, and then they'll understand it. Both dogs are snoring away, and this little one's snoring too. So sorry I've sent you all to sleep. Or maybe I'm just boring, maybe I've just sent you all to sleep because I'm so boring. Anyway, eventually you might get my videos more edited when, because Zoe's back now from her trip to Rhinebeck, so no doubt we'll be seeing her videos. That's 24 karat crochet. Yeah, I've also been watching Inside Number 23. She knits more than she does anything, but at the moment she's in Orlando, so I've been watching Disney through her eyes and Epcot Centre and everything. I found it very interesting. But when she's at home, she's normally a knitter and a sewer. But I do like watching her because she's got quite a character. Katie, she's called, yeah. One day, I keep promising I'm going to do this. I'm going to write down a list of the people that I watch. Because quite a few people say, oh, people we used to watch don't make videos anymore. And I can't find any videos. So I was the same, but recently, you know, people have told me about different videos, so I've actually managed to gain a few more videos. In fact, so much so that I'm kind of behind with all my video watching. I've told you before, if it says an hour and 50 minutes, I just don't even go there. If I ever get a new TV or a new laptop or whatever, you know, that means I can feed it through the TV, watch on a big screen or something like that. Maybe then I'll be able to do my crocheting while I watch these hour hour and a half, nearly 2-hour videos. But at the moment, if it says anything like that, I think, nope. No way, they would have to be more than interested. Nobody could hold my interest for an hour and 50 minutes, I'm sorry, but they couldn't. Anyway, upon that note, I'm going to go before I bore everybody to death. Sue's coming, I think, maybe next Monday. She's not too sure. She didn't have a... She has what she calls a sheet. You know what she does, what day she's in, what day she's out, and what hour she's working. God, I lost my voice. I'm working. And she didn't have it with her, so she couldn't tell me. So she thought that she was off next Monday, but we're not sure. So anyway, I'm going to go now, and it's 2:45, so I'm now going to do a little bit of knitting, finish that baby cardigan off, and do a bit more crochet. So happy crafting to you all, whatever it is you're crafting at the moment, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go and have a coffee now and warm my fingers up. So bye all.